doing tonight, this lovely Saturday? Well, I hope you had a fantastic day. Yesterday, we had a fantastic show with Macoins Mashilingi. And if you missed it, please go on our YouTube channel and just watch it. It was pure vibes. It was just a way to end a Friday night. And now talking about Saturday, of course, we had the top stories from across the country. But apart from that, we have our discussion like you guys like it. Say what? And tonight, we're kind of like continuing the conversation we had last week about masculinity in women. What is that masculine energy that, you know, these women in this day and age especially have? It's going to be an amazing conversation, of course. Pastor Sue is in the building, Lydia, Karemi is there, and of course, other important and very, very good guests. We're going to be talking about that. So you know what? Let's begin the show with the highlights. Thousands of would-be grade 10 learners remain at home, locked out by school fees.
Wazazi wangu hawajiwezi kunipeleka hii shule juu inagharimu pesa mingi.
Some forced to repeat grade 9 as parents speak of crushing financial constraints.
Kufika babangu akaambiwa school fees, kuangalia nyuma sikumuona.
President Yoweri Museveni declared winner of Thursday's vote. His main challenger, Bobi Wine, says he fears for his life. Election observers raise alarm over credibility of the process. Also ahead, President William Ruto back in the Mount Kenya region for the second time in a week, declaring to Nyeri residents that no one can break his bond with the Mount Kenya region.
Huyo ni mtu anaota ndoto ya mchana. Mimi siwachani na nyinyi. Muanze kujipanga.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our sign language anchor tonight is Roda Nyamai. Let's begin with our top stories. And tonight, grade 10 dreams are hanging in the balance across Kenya. Thousands of bright learners face the harsh reality of finances blocking their path to senior secondary. In Mumias, one father stunned many after walking nearly 40 kilometers with his son to St. Ignatius Mukumu School, only to abandon him when he was told the amount of fees required. Now, the boy Michael Munyendo, who scored 55 marks in grade 9, now remains under temporary custody of the school. Others are even forced to repeat grade 9, as Susan Locher now reports.
As thousands of students across Kenya continue reporting to their respective senior secondary schools, for many more than bright learners, the journey to grade 10 is stalled. Finances stand in the way of their education dreams. From Kisii to Bungoma and Mumias, families are struggling to send children to grade 10. In Bokeire village, Kisii County, 14-year-old Dotvik Omweri Ogega clutches his admission letter to Maseno School.
Wakati nilikuwa nasoma nikapata alama 63.
With 63 points, he dreams of becoming a lawyer, but without fees, uniform, books or transport, that dream is slipping away.
Nimepitia mangumu kumsomesha. Sieti ako peke yake, kuna wengine tena wanahitaji kusomezwa.
In Mumias, 15-year-old Michael Munyendo walked 40 kilometers with his father to St. Ignatius Mukumu School, and when told the fees, his father vanished, leaving Michael behind.
Asubuhi tulitoka nyumbani saa 11, tukatembea na mguu mpaka St. Ignatius Mukumu, tukafika saa 6. Kufika babangu akaambiwa school fees, kuangalia nyuma sikumuona.
The school has offered him temporary custody, appealing for well wishers to step in.
Niambia paka anauza tu mikombero huko nyumbani, akipata pesa kidogo ana matumizi ya nyumba na vitu kama hizo.
In Bungoma, 3 bright students, Chanel Wakoli, Emelisa Sheroya and Faizin Simiyu, have been forced to repeat grade 9. Their families simply cannot afford the cost of joining grade 10 despite their stellar performance.
So it was a sad situation. We were unable to calm the girls down.
The Ministry of Education has now extended the grade 10 reporting period to January 21st, promising a 100% transition. For many, it's a lifeline, a second chance to keep their dreams alive if they get the boost they so desire. Susan Locho for TV47, Nairobi.
Now, at 81 years old, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has once again tightened his grip on Uganda's political future. Declared winner of the January 15th, 2026 presidential election, Museveni extends his rule into a 7th term, cementing 4 decades in power. Now, the Electoral Commission announced Museveni secured 7.9 million votes against opposition leader Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Bobi Wine, who managed 2.7 million votes, from guerrilla commander to one of Africa's long-serving leaders. Museveni's journey has been marked by constitutional changes, fierce opposition challenges, and accusations of illiberal democracy.
81-year-old incumbent Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of the National Resistance Movement has secured another 5 years in Uganda's seat of power, extending his grip on power to a 7th term.
Candidate Yoweri Tuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni, having obtained the highest number of votes in the election and the votes cast in his favor being more than 50% of the valid votes cast at the election.
The chairperson of the Uganda Electoral Commission, Justice Simon Byabakama, announced Museveni's National Resistance Movement, NRM, secured 7.9 million votes, about 71.6% of ballots cast, while his closest challenger, opposition leader Robert Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine, received 2.7 million votes. Museveni has maintained that he is the sole guarantor of stability and progress in Uganda, while Bobi Wine, a 43-year-old pop star turned politician, had vowed to tackle corruption and impose sweeping reforms. Museveni first rose to prominence in the 1970s, fighting against the regime of Idi Amin and later leading the National Resistance Army in a 5-year guerrilla war. In 1986, he seized power, ushering in what many saw as an end to years of political violence. His early years focused on stabilizing Uganda's economy and quelling insurgencies, particularly in the north. Under the 1995 Constitution, Uganda introduced multi-party democracy, term limits, and age caps for presidential candidates. Museveni won the first competitive election in 1996, defeating Paul Kawanga Semogerere with about 74% of the vote. He was re-elected in 2001, but by 2005, Parliament controversially scrapped term limits, paving the way for Museveni's continued rule. Victories followed in 2006, 2011 and 2016, each time against his former ally turned political foe Dr. Kizza Besigye and other challengers. In 2017, another constitutional amendment removed the presidential age limit, allowing Museveni, then in his 70s, to contest again. The 2021 election brought his toughest challenge yet from Robert Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine, a pop star turned politician whose youth appeal galvanized millions. Museveni won with about 58%, while Wine captured 35%, reflecting both growing dissatisfaction and the entrenched power of the NRM. Now, in 2026, Museveni has once again secured victory, reinforcing his position as one of Africa's longest-serving leaders. His supporters hail him as the guarantor of stability and progress, while critics argue Uganda's democracy has been steadily eroded through constitutional changes and restrictions on opposition, without focusing on issues facing ordinary Ugandans, such as lack of jobs and a struggling economy. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47.
Thanks, Elizabeth, for that. Now, Uganda's election crisis has deepened. The whereabouts of opposition leader Bobi Wine remain unclear. The politician has rejected the results that handed Museveni a 7th term, alleging mass fraud in a vote held under an internet blackout. Wine claims he narrowly escaped a military raid at his home, urging supporters to resist what he calls a stolen election. Authorities deny the allegations, but uncertainty over his safety has fueled tension across the country.
My name is Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, also known as Bobi Wine. Today is Saturday, the 17th of January 2026, and the time is 9 a.m. in the morning.
Tonight, Uganda's main opposition leader Robert Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine, says he's in hiding, claiming security agencies surrounded his residence and restricted his movement. In images of what appears to be screen grabs of CCTV footage posted on his X account, Bobi Wine says the night operation was a coordinated security raid involving power cuts, interference with CCTV cameras and helicopters hovering above his residence. In a video circulating online, he demanded that the announcement of results be halted until internet access is fully restored.
My wife and I have been under house arrest since the 15th of January when we had elections. And yesterday, our house was raided by some police officers together with a number of other unknown individuals in plain clothes. They used ladders to climb over our fence. They cut off our electricity. They cut off our cameras. And they were being assisted by a helicopter that was hovering in the sky of our compound and providing them light as they were doing what they were doing.
Authorities, however, deny holding him under arrest, insisting security measures are meant to maintain public order.
Some of these allegations are being paraded by his family members. What I would like to say is these are deceitful and insightful allegations intended to depict the security agencies of Uganda as brutal and violators of rights of a political candidate.
In the results announced this afternoon, Bobi Wine garnered 2,741,388 votes, with President Museveni garnering over 7.9 million votes. His chief agent rejected the results and refused to pick the results certificate.
This electoral process has been reduced into a fraudulent exercise, a fraudulent affair that is aimed at shortchanging the people of Uganda and subverting their will. Therefore, we maintain our call of asking the people of Uganda to exercise that right and lawfully protest against the unfairness and injustice occasioned upon them by the Electoral Commission.
Rights group alleged multiple deaths in overnight clashes, including reports of at least 7 killed in Butamala district after violence broke out on Friday. Opposition MP Mwanga Kivumbi claims up to 10 of his supporters were shot inside his home, allegations the government has strongly disputed.
At the house of Honorable Mwanga Kivumbi, 10 people were shot and killed in one house by the police. In Waise, 4 people have been shot dead. In Mukono, 4 people were shot dead. In Machinge, we have information that 3 people were shot dead. And in Kayonga and Luero, we are yet to get the statistics of the people that have been killed and what exactly is happening.
The uncertainty has spilled over Uganda's borders, distributing cross-border trade in towns like Busia, where traders have adopted a wait-and-see approach amid fears of unrest.
Imejaribu kuleta tofauti kubwa biashara kwa sababu tunaona idadi ya wateja kidogo imefifia.
Kuja na mzigo by saa 2 na kwa tumeuza mzigo tumemaliza, sisi tumerudi nyumbani. Leo tuko hapa hivi, mzigo ndio tumebaki nayo, tunatega tu maisha hapa hivi.
Na naomba serikali yetu ya Kenya tujalie, utuombee hawa ndugu zetu Uganda wafanye uchaguzi mzuri.
Faith Wangari for TV47.
Now, Uganda's 2026 general election is under sharp scrutiny. The joint international election observers have raised serious concerns, pointing to restrictions on political freedoms, security force involvement, and logistical failures on polling day. Now, delivering the statement, former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, head of the African Union Electoral Observation Mission, said the process was marred by arrests, abductions, and delays that cast doubt on transparency. Saddam Mubale reports.
The joint international election observers have raised serious concerns over Uganda's 2026 general election, citing restrictions on political freedoms, security force involvement, and logistical failures on polling day. Reading the joint statement, former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, head of the African Union Electoral Observation Mission, said the pre-election period was marred by arrests of opposition actors, campaign restrictions, and reports of abductions, creating an atmosphere of fear.
The agencies should operate within the law and mandate in a manner that is proportionate, impartial, and respectful of human rights, to ensure that electoral security measures do not create an atmosphere of fear, curtail human rights, fundamental freedoms, and undermine political participation.
On election day, observers reported delays of up to 4 hours in opening of polling stations due to late arrival of materials and biometric failures. While the Electoral Commission extended voting by 1 hour, many stations still closed early, leaving voters disenfranchised.
Most of the polling stations visited by the mission in Kampala Central, Kampala East, Kampala West, and Kampala North did not open on the official stated time of 07 hours. The opening was delayed by 2 or 3 or more hours.
The issue should compensate equal time lost in each polling station in line with international and regional best practice.
Despite these challenges, the mission commended the calmness and patience of Ugandan voters, noting strong participation by women and youth. Observers also condemned the internet shutdown, calling it violation of freedom of expression and access to information. Regional bodies including IGAD, COMESA, and the East African Community, the Eastern African Standby Force, and ICGLR echoed similar concerns.
The government should refrain from suspension of internet access close to the election and devise alternative mechanisms of handling potential security threats.
The head of the East African Community Observation Mission, Ambassador Eda Mukabagwiza, urged political actors to resolve disputes through lawful means.
The mission further urges any actors dissatisfied with the outcomes of the process to address their grievances through peaceful and means established by law.
Observers stressed their findings are meant to strengthen Uganda's democratic process and promote peaceful political engagement. A final comprehensive report will be released in the coming weeks. Saddam Mubale, TV47, Kampala.
Thanks, Mubale, for that. Now, coming back home, President William Ruto has returned to Nyeri County for the second time this week, dismissing claims by his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua that he betrayed the region. Now, speaking at Sagana State Lodge while hosting over 17,000 UDA grassroots leaders, Ruto said he would not allow Gachagua's one-term campaign to come between him and the Mount Kenya region, pledging to complete key development projects ahead of next year's general election. Apollo Kamau tells us more.
President William Ruto has returned to Nyeri County for the second time this week as he steps up efforts to consolidate his support in the Mount Kenya region amid growing political tensions with his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua. Bolstered by the defection of several Gachagua's allies this week, President Ruto hosted more than 10,000 UDA grassroots leaders elected in last weekend's party polls at Sagana State Lodge. The meeting also attended by a section of MCAs, MPs and governors, so Ruto warned Gachagua that he will not allow him to sabotage his long-standing relationship with the region.
Mimi nimetembea hapa nikiwa waziri wa kilimo wa Mwai Kibaki. Mimi nimetembea hapa nikiwa deputy wa Uhuru Kenyatta. Mashule tumejenga pamoja. Makanisa tumejenga pamoja. Miradi tumefanya pamoja. Ati mtu akuje hapo aseme Kasongo one term must go, ati ndio rafiki yetu iharibike? Hiyo ni kuota ndoto ya mchana.
With Nyeri, Gachagwa's home turf, emerging as a key battleground in the Mount Kenya region, the president sought to counter the one-term narrative, dismissing claims that he betrayed the region following Gachagwa's impeachment.
Tunatembea hii safari pamoja. Na mimi sio mtu ambaye nimeharibu nafasi yenu. Mimi sijaharibu kura zenu. Mimi sijaharibu nafasi mmenipatia. Leo tuko na serikali ya broad based. Hakuna kitu watu wa mlima wamepoteza. Barabara ya Nyeri itajengwa. Kwani barabara ya kwenda kwa Rigathi nani ametengeneza?
Apart from Gachagwa's allies, Teto MP Geoffrey Wandeto and Mukurweini MP John Kagushia, who skipped the Sagana meeting, the rest of Nyeri County's 4 MPs attended the gathering led by Governor Mutahi Kahiga.
Tuchunge serikali ambao ni ya UDA, serikali ambao tulichagua wenyewe, tungangane nayo, itutendee kazi tukiendelea mbele. Hapo ni sawa? Hapo ni sawa? Rais, yale mambo yamebaki Nyeri ukikamilisha, mimi nitasema 2 term.
The president also pledged to complete key development projects in the region, including roads, a major scorecard as he seeks re-election next year.
Barabara zenu, watu wa Nyeri, nataka munisikize kutoka kwangu. Barabara zenu tutatengeneza. Na sio ile tumeanzisha peke yake. Barabara zinaendelea hapa Nyeri ni 700 kilometers, lakini katika ile mpango yangu ya 28,000 tunataka tuwaongezee barabara ingine kilomita 500 ya watu wa Nyeri.
Ruto further used the Sagana State Lodge meeting to drum up support for his anticipated pre-election coalition with ODM, a move expected to shape voting patterns in the Mount Kenya region ahead of the 2027 general election. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Now, the road to the much-anticipated ODM-UDA partnership talks is taking shape. ODM elder Dr. Oburu Odinga has rallied supporters in Busia to embrace the alliance, calling it the only path to forming the next government and urging unity within the party. Meanwhile, in Nyeri County, President William Ruto confirmed that UDA is already engaging ODM and other parties to secure majority seats and strengthen its 2027 presidential bid. Elizabeth Mutuku reports.
ODM leaders today pitched camp in Busia County, pushing to popularize the party and advance partnership talks with the ruling UDA party ahead of the 2027 elections. Party leader Dr. Oburu Odinga stressed the need to remain in government, urging ODM members to unite for a stronger party.
We are not going to be distracted by side shows. Wale ambao wanafanya side shows huko na huko, mimi ninawaomba warudi kwa chama, warudi kwa mainstream, warudi kwa wananchi. Mimi sitaki kutaja jina la mtu, hawa wote ni watu wetu. Mimi ninawaomba warudi kwa chama, tukae pamoja, tuendelee.
Pia na vijana wengine kama ya kina Babu Owino, wote tunawaita tukalisha wao chini. Chama hiki kitasimama na lazima tutashinda. Kama tumepigana na serikali zote, sembuse sasa.
Broad-based politics dominated the meeting, with leaders including Oburu, Arati and Barasa promising a solid team at the negotiation table.
Mkinipatia hiyo idhini, nitahakikisha ya kwamba we get the best as the biggest party in the country. Our party is the biggest party in the country, and we cannot be given peanuts. We must get our fair share. So mimi najua kuna ndugu zetu wengine ambao roho yao ilienda kitambo kule Omnyoro. Na sisi kama wana ODM hapa, sisi hatutaki wasaliti. We want people ambao wanaheshimu legacy ya Raila Amolo Odinga.
Hapa kama rafiki kwa sababu tunatembea safari moja. Na vile mwenzangu amesema, sisi kama magovernors wa Western tumeamua kwamba tutembee pamoja, tuweke kura zetu pamoja so that we have a stronger bargaining power going forward.
While in Nyeri County, President William Ruto said he is open to bringing other parties on board, noting talks with ODM have already begun for a united approach to 2027.
Tulitangaza juzi chama ya UDA, sasa tutaenda kuketi chini na chama ya ODM, tupangane. Haya, kujeni hapa tupange, tutengeneze serikali, Kenya isonge mbele. Kwani shida iko wapi? Shida iko wapi?
Outcome of the UDA-ODM partnership will be determined at an ODM delegates meeting later this year. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, so now let's take, of course, a look at some sporting action. A dramatic day of FKF Premier League action has shaken up the title race, with AFC Leopards storming to the summit of the standings after a thrilling 2-1 comeback victory over APS Bomet at Nyao Stadium. Now, Ingwe struck twice in the dying minutes of the second half, capitalizing on costly defensive lapses to leapfrog rivals Gor Mahia at the top. Elsewhere, Shabana FC made home advantage count with a narrow 1-0 win over Sofapaka, while Bandari FC outmuscled Tusker FC 2-1 to cap off an action-packed round. Now, the league action continues tomorrow as Gor Mahia faces Mara Sugar, Murangasil take on Bidco United, and Kakamega Homeboys lock horns with Kariobangi Sharks.
Watoka Christopher Koloti, the bull, akawabuli walinzi wale wakati wa APS Bomet. Pasi tamu yake Victor Mune Uchami Dalio Konji Matata Madi Kelly inaletwa ndani, nafasi ile nzuri, bado nafasi, football bloody Pavlu wamerudi mchezoni. Hii ndio Ingwe ya Freda Mbani, maiti anapiga chafya, wamerudi chui.
Hey, that was some serious action. That was some serious action there. Great energy. Okay, now moving on. Junior golf in East Africa has taken a historic step forward with the official launch of the East Africa Junior Golf Rankings as the inaugural tournament teed off at the Windsor Golf Hotel and Country Club. Now, the groundbreaking event marks the beginning of the region's first ever structured junior golf ranking system designed to nurture young talent, promote competitive excellence, and create clear pathways to elite international golf and scholarship opportunities. All right, now Manchester United stunned their derby rivals Manchester City with a 2-0 victory earlier today in an entertaining clash, of course, at Old Trafford. That actually happened today. I don't know if you watched it. Goals from Brian Mbeumo and Patrick Dogu stilled all 3 points for the Red Devils. Elsewhere, Chelsea defeated Brentford 2-0. Leeds United emerged with important win of 1-0 against Fulham. Liverpool and Burnley settled for 1-1 draw at Anfield, while Sunderland toppled Crystal Palace 2-1. Tomorrow we will see Wolves play against Newcastle United, while Aston Villa will entertain Everton.
Shaw again. Manchester Kyallo dominating the physical battle. Ahmad, oh, Donnarumma's retreating. Cross comes Ake. Here is Ahmad. Can he settle it? Off the... There's Cunha.
All right, so you know what? That's, of course, the first part of our show, the top stories. Thank you to all the reporters who've, of course, contributed to bringing us up to speed with what's happening across the country and, of course, across our borders, especially in Uganda. Mubale, great job there. But you know what? We're going to take a short commercial break. We're coming back with Say What? And tonight, like I mentioned, we have a very interesting topic, sort of like a continuation from what we did last week, talking about masculine energy in women. And pale kwa mtandao nimeuliza swali moja. Like, you know what do you think about it? And do you think actually it's something that people really contend with when it comes to relationships? We'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Don't go away. We'll be right back.